Today on the channel, we're looking at one of the big bads from the 80s Marvel comic series. We're looking at Straxus comic book series on Way I Got It Figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? Way I Got It Figured, back with another Transformers review. This time we're looking at the 40th anniversary comic book series, Decepticon Straxus. Straxus is a cool character. Back when I was a kid, he was the guy who took over for Megatron in the comic book. At least that's sort of how they presented it. He was the master of polyhex, and he had a smelting pool and a bunch of cool stuff like that. And he ended up getting blown up in the space bridge. And then many years later, I learned that he continued on in the UK series, but in the American series, issues 17 and 18, he was in those issues, and he was a pretty heartless villain with a weird Darth Vader-ish type appearance. But it was cool to get like an original kind of character that wasn't a toy. You always kind of like those guys. So continuing in the vein of Flame and Emirate Zeron, we're looking at Straxus. And for me, he was a pretty much an auto get. I was gonna definitely get one way or another. And looking at his package, we've got sort of, it's not sort of, it's literally the cover of issue 18. Got some Straxus art on the side. Some panels in black and white from issue 17, 18. Then on the back, you've got Straxus in both modes and some more panels. This is definitely from 18, fighting on the space bridge with Blaster. Cracking them open. You can see him here in all his glory. And you have some text here. Straxus rules over the smelting pools of polyhex, melting down Autobots and neutral Cybertronians into metal to be reused by the Decepticons. Though he only reigns over a small center of the galaxy, all knew there is no mercy in his domain, only death. So we're going to get Straxus out of here and see what we can see. Here is Straxus out of the package with his accessories. He comes with this sort of gun slash barrel thing for his alt mode, and of course his iconic axe. Straxus is a heavy retool of the Kingdom Galvatron mold, which has seen several reuses at this point. One even came after this, so I think Straxus came out first, and then Studio Series 86 Galvatron, so it's like the fourth reuse here. But it's a retool, and he looks really cool. You can see all the Galvatron bits in him here, but it's, as usual, paint colorations and that sort of thing can make a figure look different. I definitely think they did a good job with it. They changed everything you need to change so that it wouldn't just be Galvatron. Only the bones are Galvatron. And this is definitely a villain that you kind of just want to have. I like having extra Decepticons always. So, this was going to be a no-brainer set for me as soon as it was announced, really. Add to it the nostalgia of the comic book, and there you go. So this would actually probably be my first actual Galvatron review. The previous versions of Galvatron came out before I did, I had the channel. And of course, we'll have to compare him to at least one Galvatron before it's all said and done. But he does look cool. You can pose him pretty good. He has a different skirt in the front. Arms are pretty much the same. The only thing I wish they did, and I like how they had him in there like this. The only thing I wish they did though was make it where, he has the posable hands on a leader class figure. And then I know Galvatron predated them starting to do that, minus Earthrise Optimus Prime. Everybody, Earthrise Optimus Prime was the only one for a while. Then I think it was the Studio Series 86 Starscream that was the next one to get the hands. And so if they're releasing them sort of in an order, then if that's the order, then we understand why Galvatron wouldn't really have the hands. But I do think at some point they gotta do that. You can get an upgrade kit to give them their hands. They've done it for Galvatron. They're probably doing it for Straxus. I haven't checked into it, but DNA Designs generally does good work with that sort of thing. And yeah, Straxus is pretty cool. Don't really see a whole bunch of reason to dwell on it, but he looks pretty good. His portrait is nice. He has that kind of a weird, almost snake cobra type head. He's just a weird looking character in a good way. Yeah, he's just a good looking character. You want a bad guy, this is definitely a bad guy for you right here. And can't wait to do something with him here down the road. Let's get him geared up real quick. Gotta do that. You can give him his axe, of course. And he's got this gun. It's the barrel to his cannon, and you can use it as a gun. You can stick it on his arm. For me, that's going to be too on the nose. So I'm going to store it on his back. The character never really used a gun in robot mode. He used that axe. That was his claim to fame. And that's how they did it back in the day. I'm going to stick with it. Worked out well so far. And Straxus has gotten a couple of versions here and there over the years. There was the Generations Dark Mount. So when they lost the name to Straxus for a time, they renamed him Dark Mount. And Dark Mount is sort of like the name of his castle or whatever in Polyhex. And they've used Dark Mount for other things too. But that's basically, kind of how I always look at it is, Dark Mount. He's Lord Straxus of Dark Mount. in polyhex. That's kind of how I make all that work in my brain. So next thing we're going to do is get them transformed. Check that out. Then we'll move on to some comparisons. All right, so we've got Straxus in space cannon mode. In the comic book, he was a kind of a flying cannon thing. And this definitely captures that look pretty well. I don't really enjoy transforming the Kingdom Galvatron mold, and this one is even more fiddly than that. And what I mean by that is this part here is on a mushroom peg, and it pops off very easily. Might just be my copy of Straxus, I don't know. But trying to line all that stuff up, and this mushroom peg held on piece is highly annoying. But but the mode is captured. If it does the job. It does have some coolness to it. But it's a chore. And if I was somebody who had loads of money to throw away on figures, I might even consider getting a second Straxus just to turn it into the cannon and leave it there. But not every Transformer transforms all that often, and so I wouldn't probably need to do that. But that is his vehicle mode. You can integrate his axe onto the top. This cannon doesn't have any blast effect compatibility, which is unfortunate. At least I couldn't get a standard blast effect in there. So, no, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, it's cool to look at. If you like transforming your figures, obviously you can do it. I would only be doing it most likely for stop motion. So, he'll probably be in robot mode most of the time. So there you go. There's Straxus Space Cannon mode. We'll get them back into robot mode for some comparisons. All right, for our first comparison, we're going to bring in his sparring partner from issues 17 and 18. We're going to bring in Blaster. This is the Kingdom version. I have misplaced my Studio Series 86 one. Need to find it, but so I'm using Kingdom for now. But there you go. Blaster, Straxus, they look about the right height to each other and everything. And that's pretty cool. So next up, we're going to bring in a Galvatron. And since I have all the Galvatrons, it doesn't really matter which one. So I'm going to use Behold Galvatron. And you can definitely see the similarities as well as the differences. Obviously, the chests are different. The pylons on his shoulders are down. And even though the boots are the same, they don't have the sort of over knee pad type of deal there. And these parts are different because Galvatrons are tank treads. And the back section of Straxus is different than the traditional back section of Galvatron. But, skeleton wise, they're the same exact figure. And we'll use Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime as a final comparison. Roughly the same height. That'll make a lot of people happy, even though I'm perfectly fine with Straxus being a little bit bigger. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same height, but it works either way. So those are your comparisons. I'm going to move on to final thoughts. Final thoughts on Transformers 40th Anniversary comic book series, Decepticon Straxus. Been waiting for an actual version of Straxus for a good long while. I did have the Generations one. I actually think I still do have it somewhere. The Generations version, and it was a deluxe, so it's kind of a gimpy, smallish type of version of Straxus for what's going on with today's Transformers figures. So this one is definitely a worthy upgrade enough that I probably didn't even feel like trying to find the Dark Mount figure that I had previously. If I find it, maybe I'll show it in another video, but I've definitely have that figure somewhere. It's off of the Kingdom Galvatron mode, as we know, and the Kingdom Galvatron mode is one of the best modes that they've done in the last few years. And I think that the changes that they did to make him into Straxus are pretty cool. He had to have these extra things on his arm for the extraneous tank treads that Galvatron has, so we got to kind of live with that. That's a little bit of what you would call kibble, and I generally don't care about that. Is he a 10 figure? It's hard for me to say that. It's a character that I definitely wanted. I'll give him a 9. I think he's a 9 figure. I got a figure rank of 9. Very happy to have him. The comic book series have all been extremely solid kind of releases, even if they're mostly repaints. And so they're definitely worth picking up if you can find them. So that'll be that for this one. We've got a lot more Transformers content coming. I do have eye surgery coming up, so we're going to see how many videos I can get through this week. But I wanted to definitely get Straxus on film, so to speak, before I take whatever break and end up having to take. So until next time, everybody stay safe, happy collecting. See you on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.